Hi Cancer, this is Tisch Aitken, and this is your monthly report for the month of December. What a month and what a time it is. It's the final month of the year, and we're currently in eclipse season, and you are ruled by the moon. So you're always in touch with full moons and new moons, and eclipse season. Eclipses happen every 6 months, and they are like a full moon and a new moon on steroids. And there was a very powerful partial lunar eclipse on November 19th that took place at 27 degrees and 14 minutes of the fixed earth sign of Taurus in your house of friends and groups. And it was almost, it just missed being a total lunar eclipse. And for you, there could have been big events. There could have been loss with friends and groups. I saw through friends and clients a lot of loss occur around the time of that eclipse, because that was the longest eclipse of the century, the longest partial eclipse since February 18th of 1440. And it was in Scorpio season with 3 planets transiting in the sign of death and regeneration. And realistically, we're also in uncharted time. We are in the epoch of Capricorn, which ended at the end of last December, and you certainly experienced it intensely because Capricorn is your opposite sign. And now we're in the new age of Aquarius, trying to invent pardon me, and reinvent ourselves. And eclipses shake us up and wake us up, and we all need to learn how to assimilate to this new time. But it can be very harried and frenetic, which it is. Venus entered the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn, which is your opposite sign, on November 5th. It will be there until March 6th of 2022 in your house of partnerships and relationships. Venus will retrograde on December 19th at 26 degrees of Capricorn, which is where Pluto retrograded in April of this year. Really figuring out what's of value to you, what you need to purge in order to obtain that. There's been so much loss, reconciling the loss, doing healing work, finding healing in relationships. If you're single, relationships are a huge focus. People from your past likely surface with Venus in the sector of your chart for several months. And later on, in the beginning of 2022, Mercury will enter Aquarius. It will retrograde in the middle of January, and by the end of January, it re-enters the late degrees of Capricorn, re-entering the sector of your chart around partnerships and relationships. And then it will exit and enter the sign of Aquarius on February 15th. So a lot of focus on your relationships, on finding value in partnering with yourself and with others, and setting boundaries and limitations. Capricorn is a sign of boundaries and commitment, committing to people and projects that align with you. And so Venus is about to retrograde. We're still in eclipse season. A lot of information can get brought to light, and this is amplified by the fact that at the beginning of the month, on December 1st, Neptune stations direct at 20 degrees and 24 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces in your house of hope and manifesting and belief systems. And Neptune on the higher level is very spiritual and creative and empathetic. On the more challenging level, it can be deceptive or confusing, and you're definitely going to feel that haze building up the last 5 days of November and the first 5 days of December. But it's good now for manifesting hope and faith in a very difficult time. On December 3rd, there is a total solar eclipse that occurs at 11:43 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on December 4th at 2:43 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 12 degrees and 22 minutes of the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius. And this new moon eclipse occurs in your house of work and daily routine. And that's where the sun and Mercury are currently transiting, focusing on your habits, on your work. And this is an excellent new moon eclipse for setting intentions, for being more productive in your routine and regimen, and in your health. For all of us, obviously in this time, we're trying to get healthy and work on our habits and routines. The new moon is always a time to set intentions. This is a very fated new moon because in order to have an eclipse, the nodes of fate have to be within 19 degrees of the moon, and this is much closer. So this is a new moon, a total solar eclipse in your house of work and routine, but bringing joy. Jupiter is the planet of optimism, and although it's a south node eclipse, meaning there's something that needs to be released, it's bringing joy and manifesting in your routine. Maybe your routine is inclusive of a daily meditation to align you with feeling more optimistic and doing manifesting work. And definitely write down intentions. Do the law of abundance. I will do a video and I will write more about doing manifesting work, but so important. And you are so aligned with lunar. On December 6th, Mars, which is the planet of action, forms a helpful sextile to Neptune at 6:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's good for you for getting work done and being very creative in your habits. And then on December 7th, Mercury squares Neptune at 10:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That could bring confusion for you at the workplace. Maybe there's miscommunication or misinterpretation. It's very good for doing manifesting work and creative work. And then later that day, Mars squares Jupiter at 10:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on December 8th at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that could be very romantic and fun. Mars is still transiting in your house of romance and creativity a little while longer, but it just could be a lot. It could be a very busy day. And then on December 11th, there's a very heavy tone because Venus will retrograde on the 19th at 26 degrees and 29 minutes of Capricorn. On the 11th of December, Venus meets up with Pluto at 11:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That could bring breakups for you. It is in your house of partnerships and relationships. Pluto has been transiting in this sector of your chart really on and off since 2008. But this brings a lot of endings, but also really getting the bottom of things that are blocking you from healing. But it's going to be a very emotionally intense day, and likely we'll have some breakups because later that day the sun squares Neptune at 10:21 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and on December 12th at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that could uncover deception. There could be power struggles or triangles with the Venus-Pluto energy on the 11th, and just a lot of heavy emotions. Neptune is so vulnerable too. So just knowing that's an intense. On the 13th of December, there's more exuberant energy. Mars, which is the planet of action and passion, enters the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius at 4:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it will be there until January 25th in your house of work and routine. So if you want to start an exercise regimen, or you're trying to be more productive at work, or waking up earlier to take classes and do new things to get things done, this will give you that optimism and enthusiasm to do so. And then Mercury, which is the planet of communication, changes signs at 12:52 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and enters the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn, where it will be until January 2nd in your house of relationships and partnerships. Now, Mercury will retrograde in the middle of, yeah, in the middle of January. It enters Aquarius on January 2nd, and then it will re-enter your house of partnerships and relationships at the end of January, and then return to your house of intimacy and healing on February 15th. But a lot of focus on your relationships, on debt and finances, and on doing healing work the next few months, and certainly in the beginning of the year. And on December 18th, there is a full moon that takes place at 11:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 27 degrees and 29 minutes of the mutable air sign of Gemini. And this full moon takes place in your house of endings. This full moon is also in your house of dreams. You may get very prophetic dreams, and it officially ends eclipse season because it's the first lunation after the eclipses. But realistically, we're still all reeling and working from those very powerful eclipses. But this could bring an ending. It's also great for doing spiritual work and purging. Maybe you're cleaning your closets up and burning sage and getting rid of the negative energy. I work a lot with manifesting, but I have to remind myself how important it is to get rid of not only clutter, but the energy, everything. So that's the full moon in your house of endings and spirituality, and hopefully working with your dreams. Maybe journal your dreams. And then on December 19th, Venus retrogrades at 5:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 26 degrees and 29 minutes of the cardinal Earth sign of Capricorn. It will station direct on January 29th at 11 degrees and 4 minutes of Capricorn, and then it enters, it leaves Capricorn on March 6th of 2022. So it's going to be in your relationship sector for several months. So it's already been there almost a month as we begin December. So a lot of people from your past will resurface, old co-workers, friends, lovers, paramours, enemies. I don't know anything, but hopefully not enemies. We don't need that now. But people from your past. Now, if you're single, relationships are a huge focus. Could be that you reconnect with somebody from the past romantically, but a lot of reassessment how you partner with yourself and with others. It's tracing where Saturn was in December of 2018 when it was at 11 degrees of Capricorn, early January of 19, and then where Saturn was in March through November of 2020, establishing boundaries as you grow. Okay? And then on December 20th, Mercury forms a beautiful trine to Uranus at 3:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is really good energy for partnering with others in a very inventive and innovative way. And then on December 21st, it is the winter solstice, and the sun enters the cardinal Earth sign of Capricorn at 10:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, entering your house of partnerships. The sun shines wherever it is, and it will be there until January 19th. A lot of focus on partnering. So if you're single, great time for meeting somebody, but also a lot of people from the past resurfacing and memories. So you can figure out what you don't want to do again, if there are things you don't want to replicate, and figuring out how you want to partner with the world. And then let's see, on December 24th, Saturn squares Uranus in the sky. This is the third and final time at 11 degrees and 5 minutes of the fixed signs. Saturn is transiting in Aquarius in your house of debt and intimacy and loss and healing and regeneration. And Uranus is transiting in your house of friends and groups, and they square one another at 11 degrees and 5 minutes of the fixed signs. Saturn and Uranus both rule the sign of Aquarius. Saturn is the ancient ruler and Uranus is the modern ruler. They couldn't be more different. Saturn is rigid and very much about structure. Uranus is is chaotic and brilliant, but it's the chaos in finding answers. And anybody with planets between 9 and 13 degrees of the fixed signs will feel it the most, and they are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, but we'll all feel it. There's a tension that will be permeating around that time, but it's the last square, underscoring the new age of Aquarius with its brilliance and its unpredictability. On December 25th, Mars trines Chiron, the wounded healer, and that brings healing energy. But on that date, Venus and Pluto meet up at 7:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the second of 3 pairings. They will meet up again the third and final time on March 2nd in your house of relationships, hopefully bringing healing and transforming partnerships, but there could be endings realistically with that energy. It's very emotionally intense. And then on the 28th of December, let's not get ahead, Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, enters the mutable water sign of Pisces, where it was briefly this year from May 13th until July 29th. And Jupiter is in its dignity in Pisces by ancient astrology, expanding through the imagination and believing things to be possible. It's transiting in your house of faith and optimism, promotion and publicity. Great time for promoting yourself. Great time for expanding through manifesting work, teaching, taking classes. It's going to be there on and off in 2022. It's actually going to enter Aries for a few months on May 10th. It gets as far as 8 degrees of Aries, which is actually where Chiron, the wounded healer, stationed direct on December 19th. I omitted that fact, at 8 degrees and 26 minutes of Aries. You are rebuilding your career and your professional status and the vulnerability involved with that, with Chiron transiting at the top of your chart. Jupiter next year is going to be awesome for you because it's going to trine your sign. It's a fellow water sign while it's in Pisces in your house of hope. And then in May, it enters your house of career and life goals, opening many doors. Re-enters Pisces on October 28th in your house of manifesting and optimism, and then returns to your house of career and public image on December 20th of next year. So a lot of magic, I think, available to you in both cases. And then on December 29th, Mercury meets up with Venus at 5:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in your house of relationships and partnerships. The Sun squares Chiron, the wounded healer, that day, and that can be kind of intense. And again, evaluating what's not working in your relationships and what is, because there may be some people you will be eliminating with this journey, I assume, because if they're not, respecting your boundaries and what means, what's of value to you. And then on December 30th, Mercury and Pluto meet up at 4:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also really intense in your house of relationships and partnerships. The moon enters the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius on December 30th at 6:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a lighthearted moon in your house of work and daily routine. Hopefully you may not be working, but it's a nice placement of the moon. It will go void of course on January 1st at 3:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with a square to Neptune. And I think it enhances the fact that we are embarking on Jupiter and Pisces, that journey, and manifesting and expanding through the imagination, but not through escapism, because Pisces can be escapist. And then The sun trines Uranus at 4:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that shows the innovation and brilliance possible within all of us. Wish you a lot of luck, Cancer, and a very happy new year. Thank you.